like I got this feedback from people that sometimes when I start the show, like, hi, it's the Rocket Lab Weekly, like that it cuts off. Yeah, so it's yeah, so we are live. Welcome everyone. This is episode 91 of Rocket Lab Weekly. And today we have three completely new guests that have never been on the show. So first of all, we have Mexican Matt Money. I think his name is Matt Peso or Matt Dinero, something like this.
Mateo Dinero, yep.
Mateo Dinero.
Thanks for having me on for the first time. Much appreciated.
Good. You speak English. Okay, without an accent. That's perfect. That's perfect. And we have the Hustle Brothers with us today, Liam and Chris. You're completely new on the channel. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell the audience who you are? I think they know you, but it's always good with the repetition.
Yeah, perfect. So, as you know, guys, my name's Liam. I'm one of the Hustle Brothers here. Look, guys, you know our mission was to collaborate with the greats here, and we have two of the OGs here. We have Vince and Matt. What we've designed our channel on is, look, we're not specialists. We want to bring it back to the average working man, the average retail investor. We try and bring all the specialists on board and then relay it back to the working man. Look, I'm from Ireland. We have a lot of fun on our dailies, and I'll hand it straight over to Chris.
Yeah, so my job is just to be the village idiot and add some fun and some color. And, you know, it's really laid back here, man. It is an honor to be on with you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. We had Maddie on a few days ago. That was a lot of fun. Looking forward to today. It's hopefully one of many, but yeah, thanks again, everyone. It'll be a lot of fun today.
Yeah, awesome. Welcome, you guys. So, yeah, Scotto, he's most probably a dad for the second time. He hasn't confirmed, but I guess the reason why he couldn't confirm this is busy being a dad. That's my educated guess. And Dave G, I think he's out living the millionaire life. He's balling. There's some rumors that he's on Jeff Bezos' wedding. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he's living the baller life, so he couldn't make it this week. And yeah, we start with the usual question. How's everyone's week this week?
Gentlemen, go ahead.
Absolutely insane. Not going to lie, what was smashing all-time highs. Is it going to last? Do you know what? We've been adding it into the Russell. I'm sure you're going to get into that, but no, it's been an insane week. I'm a little bit, I don't know, confused where the market's going at the moment. I think we had a little bit of a chat together, the whole team, and we were like, all the speculative stocks are rallying like mad at the moment. But then we were looking at the likes of your dividends, the Coca-Colas, and we're like, they're sitting at $70 at the moment. So it's just a weird time to be in the market. But look, we're enjoying it. Matty, I'll fire it over to you, brother.
Things are looking good over here at the Mateo Dinero portfolio. You guys probably don't know much about it since I'm new to the show, but yeah, I do have some Rocket Lab. I'm also an investor in Palantir, Dutch Brothers, Next Decade, Venture Global. Just kidding. But yeah, the portfolio has been absolutely on a tear. It's been really well placed. The S&P 500 has hit top scores again. To me, it's always about time in the market, not timing the market. So continue to add continuously and judiciously to the portfolio on an every other week basis. Every time I get a paycheck, a large portion of that goes directly to. And I hit another small milestone in my portfolio. So another little tick in my box, you know, really trying to get after that 8-figure goal for me at the moment. So another little, I guess, what's the step on the ladder of getting closer to that next level in the portfolio. So to me, it's been a lot of fun. Expecting some sort of pullback within the next 6 months or so. Not a large one, right? But just as always, I'm going to continue to continue to invest, and hopefully, yeah, it's just been a lot of fun so far. I think the only thing for me, maybe, I don't know if I've announced this on a stream or anything like that, but I am back in SoFi. People probably ask why. A lot of my other stocks, as we're going to probably talk about today, have run up and done very well. And so I find a lot of value in where SoFi is in terms of where it is comparatively to where it could go. And it seemed like a decent place to store some money. So everything else has kind of ran very substantially, and SoFi is kind of hanging out. Although since I bought back in, I don't know how much adding I'll do, but since I bought back in, it's run as well. So
Matt, you're dancing around the topic. Of course, you bought back into SoFi because you're in freaking Mexico with all the SoFi guys.
that too. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Is it still controversial to say, like, is the competition between SoFi and Robinhood?
Oh yeah, that's a rabbit hole that we can go down for way longer than we need to today.
That's definitely a rabbit hole. I mean, I personally never disliked SoFi, but what I think the fight for me personally, I can't speak for everybody else, and I'll make it very brief because we do have a lot to talk about. And I know Vince is probably already dragging on and wants to go to bed. So in that respect, I'll try to keep it to less than an hour. But the thing that I was people talking about the tech platform, how they're doing something revolutionary. In reality, it's just a bank. In reality, that's okay. You know, banks make money. And the thing that I'm buying SoFi for is the fact that their revenue is growing at a massive 30% plus per annum growth rate. And so why wouldn't you want to be involved in a bank that's growing at a massive 30% year over year, climbing and leaving other banks in the dust? So in that respect, while it might not be a tech platform and get a 40 multiple or a 30x multiple on its price to earnings, if they're growing at 30% and the bottom line is going to grow even faster because they just hit profitability, why wouldn't I want to be involved in that, even if it does get a traditional banking multiple? So that's the reason why I'm investing in SoFi. And if it does get a fintech multiple, then that'll be great. But I'm investing in it just because I think it's a great run bank. And anyway, I'll leave it there.
All right. Thanks for that. So I think it's time to go from SoFi Weekly to Rocket Lab Weekly and begin with the show. So it's very interesting. Last week was, I think, the quietest news week that we have had in Rocket Lab's history. And this week, when I did the research, the overall space industry was extremely quiet, but Rocket Lab had an insanely good week. So there's lots of good news to go over. And one of them is that in June, I believe that it's the first month ever that Rocket Lab has launched 4 Electron launches in a month. They have had the fastest turnaround from a single launch complex. I think it was like 1 day and 13 hours. 100% mission success. There was 10 launches this year. We are looking insanely good with the manifest. So yeah, what did you guys see the launches and what did you guys think?
Yeah, so
yeah, we saw the launches. Yeah, we saw the launches. You guys slept in. You guys are like subcontracting out like hey, it's 2 a.m. We'll let Chris and Liam do this. We can sleep in. Everyone slept in on us last night. Liam was like, you got to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, old man. And we're doing a live stream. And I was not happy. I have not been asleep. I actually went to work this morning after that. So that's how my week's been. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But hey, we're big. You know, we love the launches. So there was actually quite a few people up. It was a lot of fun and exciting too. You're seeing more of a quicker turnaround. They're able to do a lot more in a short amount of time. Hard not to be excited and see a possible greater cadence happening sooner in the future.
I want to jump in there and sort of say, did you see what Scott O put up recently about it was prior to them 2 launches that there could be 20 additional launches on the 2025 manifest?
I think I have it.
And it's one of those, I was sort of sitting back and I was looking and I was like, are we going to go from 16 to, what was it, around 28 launches in a year? I honestly don't believe we probably will get to the 28. I think there'll be a lot of rescheduling there, which again, it's not Rocket Lab's fault. It's always a customer issue when it comes to that. But I kind of want to ask, like, would look, we'd all be happy with 28 launches throughout the year. But then what does that look like scaling up for the following year? We don't want to drop off. So I kind of want to put the thought out there.
Well, Maddie can probably answer this better. But we did what, I think 18 launches of the last 12 months, and that is a ramp up just of the last, not the last year, the last 12 months total. I think that's 18 total. I think I'm right about that, Maddie.
Let me grab. I think I saw somebody on X say that, but I haven't looked
Yeah,
at it
me too.
personally.
Me too. It's probably true.
Let me see.
Because I think the last like Q3 was like, I think it was like 5 and 6, and then we had. Yeah, I think it feels like that number is true. I also saw it on trailing 12 months launches. We are at 18.
Yeah, 18. It's an unfortunate one too, because June, I'm not on mute, am I? June for them last year actually had 2 launches as well. So they actually had a pretty good run rate in the second quarter of the year. They had 4 or 5 launches as well in that quarter. So in that respect, yeah, 18 is where we're at in the trailing 12 months. It's actually a good idea to keep track of that. I should probably do that. That actually is a really cool one. I've been tracking the trailing 5 launches, the days between, but I actually like that metric. I might actually add that to my spreadsheet as well and make a graphic of that.
Because I was kind of thinking, say if we do the 28 launches, plus the Neutron. Into the following year, are you going to get investors pressing for, I don't know, another 8 launches on top of that, plus 3 Neutrons, and then our RKLB starting to get under pressure to deliver?
I mean, I think what you're seeing is a healthy ramp up, because we're not only seeing the launch cadence ramp up, but I believe that we're also seeing the sales ramp up. Like, unfortunately, I didn't see anybody tracking it, but if you would look at like contracts announced, like I'm sure that this year we are similarly, like we are getting like we're going from, what is it, 12 launches to 20. Which is like an 80% increase, and I'm pretty sure that the sales look something similar, and that's why the manifest is filling up. And I think it's like I'm 100% sure that yes, there's 20 potential launches, and it's very interesting. When we began Rocket Lab Weekly, we had so many questions on like, why are there no more regular launches? What is holding down the cadence? And is it that Rocket Lab is structurally not able to deliver? Are they doing something wrong? And we had Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice here on interviews, and they were like, guys, it's the customers. Like, we could launch, we could make, I think they said that they could manufacture 1 electron a week, which is 52 a year. And I think that they said that they could easily launch 30 per year. There was a figure like this. And they were like, it's all on the customers. Like, if the customers would show up and if there was a bigger market, we would already have 30 launches this year, And I think that this cadence that is happening now, this cadence increase, is just even more proves that if the customers are ready, like, these guys are launching, even if they launch the day before, like, so yeah, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about having a down year in rocket launches next year. Cool. Then I think, let me see what I have, because we had the 2 launches. By the way, I heard that Frank was on one of the streams and he actually spoke. I missed it, but Matt, I know you have a strange German fetish for this guy. Did you see him speak, or did you see this video?
Ich habe Frank Klein sprechen in. No, I'm just kidding. My German is very bad. But no, I did have. I did see that opportunity, and I was excited. I think a lot of people were excited. The retail community. You know that I've been poking to try to get Frank on. He's been in the company now 9 months, and so I think it was a refreshing sight to see him on because of that. And I know he got a decent pay package to come over from Rivian, and so I think people are, just honestly wondering where things are going. And it seems like he's taking on a lot of responsibility as COO. For those people that don't know, he's got about 30 years of manufacturing experience, mostly in the automotive industry. And so people are kind of curious, like, is he focusing specifically on satellites? Is he focusing on the rocket side? There's a large opportunity of questions and a pool of questions that we could ask if we had him on stream. But it was nice to see him. I made the joke, I guess. He woke up that morning and said, "Wie geht es Ihnen?" which means "How are you doing?" in German, in a very formal manner. And talked a little bit for about 2 or 3 minutes on the commercial right before the launch. Unfortunately, I think that one was scrubbed. I think that was supposed to be for, what was the launch that was supposed to happen?
Symphony of the Skies.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the one that was Symphony of the
Yeah.
Skies, the one that we just did this morning? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the rescheduled one. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So
Yep.
that yeah, he spoke. I guess when it was supposed to launch on the 18th or something like that.
Yeah, he did speak again this morning, and yeah, I think he's like the unseen workhorse in Rocket Lab at the moment. It was nice to see him in it, and yeah, that is one thing I really would like to see, is what part is he focusing on? If you guys can get him on for an interview, I'd love to see it.
That would be
Chris.
great. Yeah, he was a rock star when he came on. Everybody in the chats, because we did it live, and everybody in the chats, they knew exactly who he was the second he saw his face. These guys in the community, man, they're so far ahead. I was like, "Who is Frank again?" Oh yeah, oh that's Frank. Wow, okay, cool. But I think that was a welcome sight in the community, especially just in the responses. If you guys get him on, I tune in every time anyway, but that'll be a lot of fun. I might have to send you guys like a question or two, just because there's 1 or 2 things I want to rack his brain about.
Sure. Please send it. I mean, there is something maybe in the works, but then maybe he was like, "I'm not ready to be on camera," so that's why he appeared on the what do you call it, on the stream instead, like for the launch.
He got frightened when he seen Mexican Matt show up.
Yeah.
Amazing. This guy comes with tough questions. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
MS13 Matt.
He's afraid he might not come over relatable because, I don't know, Vince doesn't speak German. I speak a little German, so we might just go off on a German tangent and everyone's laughing except for Vince, and it looks awkward. So we don't want that happening.
No.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the next subject. There was a couple of really big news this week. I will start with the smaller one. So Rocket Lab was officially added to the Russell 1000. This is quite bullish because it means that a bunch of ETFs are basically mandated to hold Rocket Lab, and obviously that means that there's suddenly a lot more buyers on the market, which is very positive for the stock price, as we saw. I've seen companies go into the S&P 500, and I've seen that can result in a boost of 30, 40, 50%, or if you're Tesla, like a 3x in your stock price. I don't have an experience how much the Russell 1000 does for a stock, but I know for a fact that it's not hurting the stock. So what was your guys' opinion on this?
Yeah, I think it's going to bring a bit more stability to the price. There'll be a bit more liquidity. It'll be nice to see more fund managers get in. But to me, it was more or less just another box ticked, another job done for Rocket Lab. Yeah, I don't really have much more on it. I'll be dead honest with you, I only more or less realized they were in the Russell 1000 getting up this morning. I know I was more or less expecting an announcement after hours, but I think that's meant to be Monday, isn't it? The official announcement.
Yeah, I don't know, because I also didn't see an official. I've just seen a bunch of Twitter accounts sharing it. So yeah, we're probably ahead of the curve, the retail detectives.
Yeah, definitely ahead of the curve. But we've got a brand new investor in here that we've never heard from before. Mr. Sexy Tom Cruise guy himself is aviator glasses. Mateo De Niro, you're new to this, man. What's your impression on it?
I like the way that Liam described it. I think it's a tick the box exercise for me. I don't necessarily, I'm not investing in the company because I think it's going to hit the Russell 1000. I'm investing in the company because I honestly, it's going to change the way that we do things here on Earth and we put things up into space. So to me, I think it's nice. It's a check the box exercise. It's nice to get the accolades. It's nice to see the company climb. But at the end of the day, it's an exercise. It's not a goal or an objective, right? It's a byproduct of what the company's doing. And I think that they're being recognized from a market cap perspective, reflecting on what they're delivering day to day. So, yeah, it's exciting to see. But to me, I think the really fun one will be in 2027, 2028 timeframe when they get the S&P 500, because the S&P 500 actually requires some profitability metrics to be met. Russell 1000 does not. So.
Yeah, agreed, man. This is, if you're a long-term investor, this is something we should have already expected. It's just one rung on a very tall ladder. It's great to hit that, but totally agree. Totally agree, Matty.
Yeah. All right. So here's the really big one, at least in my opinion. So Rocket Lab has been awarded a mission by the ESA, which is the European Space Agency. And funny enough, the last earnings call, Rocket Lab said that they want to focus more on Europe, and the Moneric acquisition, they feel opens the door so that they can compete with the like they can bid for European Space Agency contracts. And the European Space Agency is not as big as NASA, but the fact that they were awarded one mission, it means that they are a very viable contender, and I think we can expect a lot more missions. So I think that this is super, super bullish for the company. What did you guys think about this announcement?
Yeah, I was actually really pleasantly surprised about this. I think, is it they're sending up 2 prototype satellites out of a 10 satellite constellation. But then speaking about it with Francisco Ramirez, they're aiming at having a constellation of up to 310 satellites. And that, getting the relationship in the door with the ESA, I think it could be game changing for Rocket Lab. Matty, what are you saying?
I think it's interesting to see just the European Space Agency kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, diversify into other launch providers. Last I've checked, and this is something that's very over my head, and I haven't necessarily done the full due diligence, is that the ESA, which is launched typically out of the French Guiana in South America, just south of Suriname, that has been where I've always kind of assumed that they put all their money and all their launches, and so it's interesting to see them not only diversify but utilize an American company, or if you want to claim it as a New Zealand company, I'm fine with that as well. But I think it just goes to show that Peter was right when he says that Europe unfortunately just doesn't have the capacity and is several years behind, and I actually think he said a decade. But someone can fact check me on that one. But I just don't think that they have the capacity. And the ESA, I think, is fortunate if they get 2 launches off or maybe 3 a year. And unfortunately, I think that they just say to themselves, yeah, we'll continue to develop our space ambitions, but we need to utilize other people to really get there. So it's nice to see that not only are they potentially diversifying, but putting 10 missions into the hand. That's $100 million contract. I mean, that's not a small contract to be able to get for Electron. So well, I don't, maybe not 100, but it's at least an $80 million contract. So awesome to see. It increases the backlog. It's definitely something we need, considering we're burning off 100, 140, 150 million a quarter at this point.
Was this 10? I thought that it was only one contract that was awarded.
I think it's 2 satellites, 1 contract. So it's 1 mission, 2 satellites.
But ignore me that. I don't know what I'm.
But it's for a 10
that.
satellite constellation, and then they aiming to do a 310.
That's what it was. Sorry, I'm like going back and forth. I'm trying to update my spreadsheet, and so apologies. I'm mixing things together.
No problem.
And he's right too about the infrastructure. But you got 22 different national partners that work within this. And one thing I found very interesting, I didn't realize at first either until I read more into it. But they actually partner with Canada, and our Canadian friends up there can tell us that Canada is trying to ramp up their infrastructure and their ability to launch. And there's, some hints on the outside that they might be working with Rocket Lab through their Haste program, much like we just learned about the UK. We already know about Australia. I think there's a lot more that can come with that. And I think that because they don't have that infrastructure, I actually see moving forward, at least in the short term, more of a need of help from a company like Rocket Lab. Look what they're doing in their own country, New Zealand. New Zealand, as we know, they're ramping up and they want to have their own space program. Well, that's coming a lot from Rocket Lab. So I think there's an advantage here for us, for Rocket Lab, because they do see, it look like you have the Mineric and everything. There's a lot more potential out there. I think there's a lot of these contracts. Yeah, this is a big one. This could be a very big one. It is only 2 launches, but you look at like a company like Gravitics, that's only like a $1.4 million contract. But you look at the long term over what the possibilities are. It's fun to get there and speculate and dream big, but this seems more like a very real reality in a lot shorter time span than I think a lot of us are expecting.
Yeah, and I also just want to add to what Matt was also mentioning, that for the EU, I think that there is they are trying to develop their own small launch vehicles and their own startup launch providers in the EU. And I believe that there's 2 startups in Germany that are relatively close to launching. I believe that there's one in the UK, if I'm not.
I think it's Scotland, isn't that?
Yeah. I think the one in UK was the one that was launching from Norway, from the super beautiful place where they and so it's also that the European startups are not that far from. I mean, okay, God knows how far they are because they haven't had a successful launch. But for me, when you have rockets flying up and blowing up, it means that you're past your engine validation, and it's like the last things you need to fix. And despite that, they still felt the need to award Rocket Lab or involve Rocket Lab into their launch providers. So I think that that's very bullish, and definitely more contracts are going to come from this direction. Cool. So now I think we did a pretty good job at covering the main news with Rocket Lab. So here's a very interesting. This is very hot off the press. It came in a few hours ago. Wallops Vantage was out in Wallops and taking pictures, and I must say that this is something that is start to worry me, that the pad is looking more and more done, but there's an elephant in the room, or actually there isn't an elephant in the room, and that's what bothers me. Where the heck is Neutron? If we are going to see, I say it almost every Rocket Lab Weekly, that once Neutron is going to be on the pad and it's visible on these pictures, I think it's 3 months after that we get a successful launch. We are in July, so if Neutron was there on his visit now, it would mean that the launch is August, September, in October. If it's not there in August, then the launch is not in November, and then we're getting very, very close to the end of the year. So I think that the 2025 Neutron launch is in jeopardy. But what can you guys see from these pictures, and what is your opinion?
Yeah, so I did see that. I'm gonna be dead honest with you. I probably only seen it about an hour before the stream. Yeah, they did say that the actual launch facility will be complete during the summer. Do I expect a Neutron launch in September? I would hope for a Neutron launch in September. I am quite doubtful at the moment. Does that make me bearish on it? No. Look, Peter said it before. It is a launch vehicle. They've done it incredibly quickly. To me, look, I'd be happy with a November, December launch. If it's pushing into next year, it's not going to bother me too much. But no, launch complex wise, I'm not that surprised. They did say they will have it done in the summer, and just seeing these pictures, I think it more or less instills that. Matty, what are we saying?
Sorry, I'm messing around with my spreadsheets again. But yeah, no, I was listening this time. I think 100% right. I think this is, if you're very concerned that Neutron won't show up by the end of the year, I hope that you're a day trader, or that you're somebody that's hoping to swing trade Rocket Lab. I don't think in 10 years time it matters if it launches in 2025 or 2026 or even the second half of 2026. I think what matters is that it's a success whenever it does launch, and we're able to learn what we need to learn to be able to increase cadence at the appropriate pace. So by no means am I saying, hey, it's okay if it delays out to 28 or 2029. But what I am saying is as long as we continue to see things happen at a decent pace, and they're keeping us involved and not trying to hide anything intentionally from us, then I think you just continue to trust management. I think this is still lightning fast comparatively, and superiorly cheap comparatively to most rocket launches and first launches. So to me, I'm just excited that we're even getting somewhere close to being where we need to be, that we're even in the discussion. I don't think that there's many boxes left to tick, but the validation and the dynamic and integration tests, etc., that does mean it takes time before you actually hit the go button. So here we are, the middle of the year. Is it going to happen in September? Like I think a lot of people are speculating. Maybe, but I think that you'd have to see a lot of cadence increases here, to not cadence, tickers off of the checklist happening very quickly. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see between now and when we actually have the second quarter conference call, which will probably be the beginning of August, first week of August likely. Don't know if it's been actually announced as of yet, but generally it's the first week of the second month of the quarter. I'm anticipating that we're going to see some things ticked off, right? I think that we're very close to getting the engine qualified. We've actually seen a stage one qualification, a lot of things being qualified. And then after that, I mean, I don't know how they are considering or how quickly they'll be able to move after you get some of these burst testing for some of these things happening. But what I am confident on is once they get it launched for the first time, they are moving quickly to get the second one on the pad. So I've even heard that within 12 months of the first one going off, they're potentially thinking about having 2 and 3 not too far long after that. So my hope is that whatever they do find, if they do get delays or regulatory is holding it up, etc., that it allows them to tweak the production line. And I think we were in the same spot back in May timeframe of last year, where many people were very skeptical, like, oh, okay, well they have serial number 1 engine at Stennis and they're testing it, and then people speculating that it blew up, and then you have multiple people talking about, oh, there's no, and even I was proven wrong. I just assumed it was the same engine, and then people started taking photos of, no, the engine's actually being changed out, and they have multiple serial numbers over there being tested. Now they're testing 2 engines at once with the dueling, the doubling of the capacity we've seen over the past few weeks. So I think people can chatter. I just would encourage people to understand why they invested in the company in the first place. Sometimes it's not necessarily under the how do I say this? It's about long-term cycles of investments, and it is, to me at least, the way I look at things. And it's not always about what you can fit in the quarter, right? The quarters are great, but quarters are, to me, arbitrary, right? They don't, what your projects are doing and how they work out and making sure that they're done correctly, you know, arbitrarily putting that in this quarter or the next might lead to mistakes. And that's what I don't want to see. I want a company that says, you know what, we said the second half of 2025, you know, it's not going to happen. We're going to end up probably slipping into the first half of 26. And I'm okay with that. As long as when they actually do get it in the first half of 26, it's a success and we can bank on 2 or 3 launches 12 months after that.
100%, bro. 100%. Man, you hit on so many things there. I actually have you know me, I got a list here. You hit on the ARC engine. I've been saying from day one, you know, Beck said this in the very beginning, they're going to tackle the things that are the most difficult on those first 4, 5, 6 steps. I've always said that the ARC engine was going to be the most difficult thing for them to overcome. And everything after that's going to ramp up pretty quickly because they're not waiting on that. They're already moving ahead with a lot of the other stuff. You know, from Lockheed being built out completely to the photos that we got yesterday from Wallops Advantage, which, by the way, I'm not far from Wallops, so I was sending him weather updates because he's about a 30-45 minute differential when it comes to the weather. Like, hey man, watch out for this. You're gonna get a sunbreaker right about now, and he's gonna be out for the Neutron party. But I actually saw there's a site that you can follow that shows all of the launches out of Wallops, even if it's just a small sounding rocket for the Navy. It shows usually the main time frame, but it also will tell you how far out that they've been approved of as far as the FCC. And if you look on there, I'll send you guys this link later on. But if you look on there, it actually shows all the way out to December for Neutron. So they're approved all the way out on Wallops to launch as far as, you know, a launch. So approved from the FCC until December. A few months ago, when they first announced the fact that they were saying, hey, look, we're trying to get FCC approval, and they were aiming around the end of September, and we're all thinking the end of September. As you guys know, I'm trying to host this party, so I try to get reservations, and I couldn't get anyone to answer the phone. Now, it's wide open. There are a lot of openings for the end of September. I'm not saying that means that there's a delay. I'm just saying that it's kind of odd that small island, not a lot of infrastructure was once booked up. Now they're not booked up. That particular hotel, well, guess who they booked for? Rocket Lab. We did see in the photos too, the new bridge construction is already underway. That's a positive. Virginia is actually investing a lot of money in this infrastructure for Rocket Lab because they're expecting a big return and, you know, getting a lot more exposure just because of the company. So, you know, things like Mars, MARS, is established out there on Wallops. Normally, you know, with government kind of contracts that kind of move slow, man, they're ramping things up. And we've had the permit since January to ship down via barge from the Maryland complex all the way down to Wallops. And now we have an issue where we have to dredge out some canals and some areas where the barges can actually go down there, which tells me most likely Neutron parts haven't quite arrived there just yet. But again, we did recently see the Hippo fairing in New Zealand. They did a bunch of testing. That's been taken apart. I can imagine that's possibly being shipped over here as well. I would not be surprised if we, you know, got pushed back till October, December. I'm still thinking this year. But again, like Maddie said, 100% right. It's not going to matter 5 or 10 years from now if we get pushed out into the spring of 2026. Yeah, it'll hurt in the short term, but in my opinion, it's a buying opportunity. So yeah, I live close here, so I'm a little bit closer to, as far as what's going on with Wallops. So I just wanted to add that in. So yeah, that's all I had for that.
Yeah, that was very nice color. And just a question. When you say that we're approved up to December, because usually on these, or or what I have seen, like these approvals, like it says this NET December, which means like no earlier than December. So on Neutron, like is it like an end date that the license, the flight license goes out in December, or is it that the launch is NET December, meaning like no earlier than December?
No, we got the FCC approval for late September, and then there's a launch window from late September until the very last day of the year. And I don't know all the details as far as what the regulations are. If you've got to wait until later in the year, if you need to extend it out into 2026 because it's a different year. But no, it's not. It's just an open window up until December. So basically, because Wallops, they do, they have to work closely with U.S. Navy, Northrop Grumman. As we know, Rocket Lab's not the only ones, launching out of there. Firefly's trying to build out and launch out of there. Within next, I don't think it's going to happen next year, but they're trying. And because we're surrounded by so many military bases, it's not like Cape Canaveral where, you get a little bit of a barrier, don't put any boats within 5 or 10 miles. Not at Wallops. They send out the U.S. Navy, and it's about a 10 to 15-mile range. So it's a big deal. They do it for Haste, so it's probably going to be bigger for Neutron because we're surrounded by so many military bases. There's a lot more that goes into just one single launch. So it's not just the FCC they've got to coordinate with. There's a lot more coordination that goes along with that. But yeah, we're clear to go between sometime in September all the way until the end of the year.
Interesting. Okay, and then there was a comment here that I want to address. I also heard about this, that apparently Sir Peter Beck is planning to sell $180 million worth of Rocket Lab stock, and it's for estate planning, and it looks like he will personally finance the Venus mission. And I was really trying to find articles on it or anything like more concrete, but I didn't. So I wonder if you guys know anything more about this, or if you have heard this.
Yeah, I heard it was about the Venus mission. I think it's more or less. Look, I'm bullish about the Venus mission, but it's not going to make money, is it? So, yeah, I think it's just a project he's aspiring to do himself.
Yeah, I mean more like the share sales, right? Because the $180 million worth of Rocket Lab, like that is a big share sale. I wish I could sell $180 million worth of Rocket Lab shares.
I don't really have much to add on it.
Okay, Matty De Niro, does it freak you out?
No, I mean, I'm not 100% certain on how essentially this works, but I know a lot of this stuff. I mean, you think about it, Pete's owned a lot of the shares for a long time, and he also gets compensated in additional shares and in salary. And so maybe what this is just getting the ability to fund a project that I think will be a huge cornerstone in the company's history, to add to their continuous legacy of a lot of their legacy companies of providing great opportunities and being the foundations as to why certain things have been discovered. Like you have great legacy companies like Solero and many others that have contributed to this long legacy of great things that have happened. Rocket Lab could be the first for Venus from a commercial standpoint, and that could be huge in terms of being able to not only understand the planet, but also be a good tax break if he was to fund that with the university. And so you're kind of nailing two stones with one. Not only are you providing a great service to benefit the company itself, but you're obviously providing the assistance to UC Berkeley, I believe, to be able to get that up and running. So I think it's UC Berkeley. I'm not 100% certain. So I'm cautiously optimistic that it's around that, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Unfortunately, I think people look into these things too seriously when it comes to people selling. And I think at the end of the day, it's like, I think people need to concentrate more so on what they believe is going on at the company to an extent. And while yes, this could be raising concern if you see Peter sell all of his stake. I mean, that's a very different story. But I'm sure part of it also could be the fact that he has other ventures that he wants to help start as well. Things that, while Peter, I should say, or Sir Peter Beck to be more respectful, while he is doing so much, unfortunately, he can't be everywhere. And so what he can do is invest in other great entrepreneurs as well, and take some of that money from his trust and potentially invest in other great companies. And I know people have said in the past he's invested in other space startups as well. And so, for being able to provide, that capital, stuff that he was able to get that has obviously made him successful and a billionaire at this point. Now he's going to be able to do the same for the future generation of space. Because I mean, I hate to say it, but Sir Peter Beck is getting into the middle age of his life, right? And so, I'm in trouble now. So in that respect, just try to think about what can happen going forward and what he can help and invest in.
Hey, man, I'm middle aged.
PR department is calling Matt. It's like, how dare you say he's getting to the Middle Ages?
Yeah, man, how dare you say that, man? I'm old. That sucks. No, I'm just messing with you. That's fun. Peter can invest in me. I've come up with a design to, and this is all joking aside. You guys know I build ponds and waterfalls, but if we can melt ice on Mars, then we can create hydroponic systems, right, and grow food on Mars. Well, we need humidity. We need humidity on Mars. So if we triple that up and actually made that to where it had a waterfall, because of the fact there's not enough gravity, the water would just turn into vapor, which creates humidity, right? I mean, I'm no rocket science here, but yeah, you guys know Mr. Beck. You guys tell him to just invest in old Christopher Bell here. Sorry, man, I had to have fun. That's just what I do. I apologize.
No problem. So yeah, and I mean, truth be told, the funny thing is when we started Rocket Lab Weekly, 180 million was all his Rocket Lab shares. So when I first heard the number, I was like, what the F? That's like a really big sale. And then, but he also had a 10x, right? So it's like his shares are like close to 2 billion. And then if you put it in perspective, he's trimming 10%, and that's like, that's like why not? Yeah, it's been going really good on the stock front, and I think in a way, it de-risks his own personal wealth, and maybe he's able to focus more and have a more clear head, able to focus more long term. So it's nothing to freak out about.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a comment there as well, and I think a lot of the community sort of resonate with that. If they did find organic matter on the likes of Venus, imagine how much we would rock it. We know what happened with Luna.
Yeah, the PR value of that, I mean, everyone on the planet would know Rocket Lab was the company who found life for generations to come. Yeah, it's like an out of the money call option. It's like your money either goes to zero or it's going to 10,000x. Yeah. Cool. That was all the Rocket Lab news for this week that I had. I don't know if I missed anything. You guys can feel free to jump in. There is only one space news, which looked pretty cool, but it's a sad thing. NASA was testing a SLS solid booster, and it blew up. And I'm sure that this did not help the SLS program, which already is being cut down and canceled. Now, I did read the article about this. So this booster was a new technology and would not have flown until the 9th SLS mission. And the Trump admin cut back the SLS missions to only 3 missions. So if, as far as I understand now, there is a fight to increase the number back to 5, but whichever passes, it still cancels SLS to the point that this booster technology would have never flown. But yet again, Starship is blowing up, on the pad. NASA with tens of billions of dollars of development is blowing up rockets on the pad. It just makes me appreciate, Electron's success rate even more. And it also humbles you a little bit that like the first Neutron launch, that it's going to be successful is really not a given. Like, even if these things would happen, we would be sitting here on Rocket Lab Weekly and telling you that this is completely normal, guys. We're in the rocket and space industry, and these things can happen. So, yeah, what did you guys see this one, and what did you guys think?
I think it sort of makes you appreciate how far we are in the development program on Neutron. And I think it sort of instills the backing of why we don't want them to just get Neutron out on the pad in September, no matter what. Look, it's bad for space. Even with Starship itself, it's bad for space. But this happened on the same day as the all-time high, so it didn't really have an effect on Rocket Lab. Matty, have you anything to add?
No, I think that's well said. Nothing for me on that one.
All right, guys. So then before I let you know, I know when we're at all-time highs, everybody is thinking that, are we going to go higher? What is priced into the stock? Let's do stock predictions. How do you guys feel about the stock price? Is it like justified? Are we overvalued a little bit? Is there too much risks coming up? Maybe with a potential Neutron delay, and I mean, the first launch of Neutron is a big risk. I think that's going to be a plus minus 20% day on the stock. So where do you think we are at?
Well, I think the whole market is getting a bit frothy at the moment. I want it to go higher. I think we will get a bit of a bump Monday with that. Look, it could be a sell the news moment. I could be completely wrong, but I do think we will get a bit of a bump Monday. I do expect a bit of a correction back, even to around $30 or so. I don't think we'll be dropping anywhere close to 25. Potentially we could. Am I adding at this level though? No, like I am. But look, I'll take whatever comes. What do you say, Matty?
I think leading up to Neutron, the price can vary wildly depending on who's buying what and thought. But I think the price is obviously what the price is. Do I think it should be there from a financial perspective? No, I think we're stretched. And to be fair, I think once we get over the Neutron hump, I do believe the stock will sell off. And to be fair, I'm okay with that. I wouldn't mind picking up more shares with a de-risked Neutron. But at the moment, just based off of what the company can provide, you're betting entirely on the future revenue streams that have yet to show up. And so to me, to pay close to $13-14 billion, actually it's more than that. It's like close to $18 billion in market cap, without even having $1 billion worth of sales, is a little bit pricey, and the company is not yet profitable. So while I would love to say no, the stock's going to go to 100, yada. I mean, I can't honestly get on here publicly and look myself in the face in the morning in the mirror and say that I'm doing everybody a justice. But the stock is going to do what it does. Is it going to climb to 50? Is it going to go to 55 prior to Neutron? I don't know. I can't predict that. But what I'm anticipating is once the Neutron rocket kind of comes and people start to say, oh, okay, now that's de-risked. There's a lot of potential associated. What do the financials look like? I think it's going to be tough after that. It's going to be a sell the news event, and I really don't think you're going to start to see a bottom on that as people sell off until you get 6 months down the road and hopefully get to gap profitability. So I think it's going to be an interesting 12 months in the stock price, very different than what people are probably mentally predicting. I think that they're anticipating, oh, Neutron's done, the stock's going to continue to run. And I personally think that it's not going to go that way. But in terms of what it is today, I think it's overvalued. But I'm investing for 10 years down the road. I'm not investing for next week or 2 months away.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Maddie there. And also because I'm a little greedy and I do want to pull back. I'm not gonna lie, I want to add more. Because again, it's not for next week. It's not 6 months from now. It's 5, 10, 15 years. Look, I bought my daughter shares. She's only 18, and I told her, look, buy this and buy a little bit more every month. I think his name is Ace. This guy buys like 2 or 3 shares a day. He doesn't care about the price because he's not planning in, the end of the year or a 6. He believes in the company overall. Neutron successful or not. It's very fun to say, let's say Neutron is successful and the markets finally wake up and go, oh yeah, they're doing all these other amazing things that we've just completely ignored. Let's go to 80. Yes. Is that feasible? Sure. The markets are very unpredictable. Could they miss on Neutron and it drop way back into the low 20s, possibly lower? Yeah. That's also a possibility too. But this isn't the kind of company that we're day trading on, like Maddie said. We're not speculating on what's going to happen in 6 months. We're used to a little bit of dilution. We're used to a little bit of delay. This is space. It is very hard. Like we talked about earlier with the ESA companies, at a beautiful Norway, they try to launch and they were not successful. They'll get there. A lot of other companies will start coming up and they will get there. But luckily for us, Rocket Lab is leading the way. So if this is a company that you're passionate about, don't let the FOMO get ahead of you. Believe me, I've watched a lot of my friends this week literally become millionaires. And it didn't happen to me. And I got a little a little upset. I'm like, man, that sucks. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? We're still early because it's not a 6-month hold. It's not a year-long hold. This is a 5+ year-long hold. So yeah, I agree with what Maddie said. Don't put too much thought into it. Look into the research and discover why you're investing in this company in the first place. And stay positive, but always plan for the worst case scenario.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people chirping up, saying I'm bearish. For sure, whatever you guys want to believe. I'm never right. I'm just a guy that's passionate about the company. That's fine. You can have your opinions. Let's just get off my back. But I'm just looking at the fundamentals from a financial standpoint. I think there's a lot of hype around Neutron, and there should be, rightly so, because it will be the future of the company. But the reality is once Neutron is actually over the hump, and we can kind of put that in our pocket and say, okay, what's next? People are eventually going to turn around and say, wow, okay, you're paying $20 billion, or let's just say it does go to $50, like some of you guys are thinking, $25 billion for a company that's generating $600 million worth of revenue in 2025. That's pretty tough to swallow.
That's tough, man.
From a price to sales ratio, and the company isn't even turning a dollar in profit. Let's just say by chance we get $100 million in net income by year end 2026, because I think we will have a profitable, or maybe not full year profitability, but we'll get close to profitability. Let's just say we do squeak out with 100 million in net profit. Okay, so let's just do the numbers here really quickly. If we do walk away, the company's at $50 a share, and we walk away with $100 million in net income, you're paying $250 price to earnings ratio. That's very expensive. So how much speculation and how much time out in time do you want to actually give the value? I'm not saying that Rocket Lab isn't going to be a $25 to $50 billion company, but I just think, you have to give it time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. So call me bearish, call me whatever you want. That's fine. I'm not going to sell any of my shares. I'm still very long on the company, but I'm trying to add a little bit of realism and reduce some of the hopium that I think a lot of people are thinking. Just 2-3 months ago, we were trading at $16, $17. So don't want everyone to think that, by any means we'll be able to potentially go to 50 billion, $100 billion market cap, unless in reality something massive happens with Constellation. that's still something that is still a huge unknown to me, and I can't put any cash flow or market cap kind of estimates on that to push it beyond a 50 to $100 billion market cap until I know more about the constellation. So call me bearish, call me what you want. That's fine. I'm still holding all my shares, and it might actually be my first $1 million position, not even just a millionaire, but $1 million position here in the next few months. But that's fine. I'm still going to be here every week and look forward to the continued debate.
Well, just as much as it's important to take profits when it's good for you, it's also important to be cautious. Especially right now, the markets are a little frothy. We have seen it jump up a whole lot. Now, I remember I bought Palantir at 42, and people were like, "You're crazy," and I sold at 72, and the same people said, "You're stupid. You should hold." So it does. We get emotional and we get a little bit too attached to it. So like when I said earlier that it could drop all the way back down to 17. I'm always going to give you worst case scenario. I'm going to do that because if you're asking, we don't give stock advice. I'm not giving stock advice here at all. But if you're going to ask me my honest opinion, how I'm looking at it, I'm going to do exactly what Matty just did. I'm going to look at the numbers. You guys know me. I hate it. So actually what I'll do is I'll message Matty and go, "Hey, Matty, do the numbers for me." Or Francisco or Liam or Vince or whatever, do the numbers for me. But I'm going to look at the numbers and I'm going to be realistic about it because as exciting as what we've seen in the last week or two, we've all seen something like a Tesla pull back $70, $80 within 5 or 6 days, almost for no reason, and then jump right back up. All I'm saying is just be cautious because there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of new investors, like Vince was talking about earlier with the new, us being in the new Russell, new ETFs have to buy in, but at the same time, it's, they're watching that very closely at the same time. So it can be a bit more volatile. Look at the volume that we've seen over the last 24, 48 hours. If you are a day trader, that's got to be a little alarming, and that's going to raise a few red flags, and it might get you a little excited. But yeah, let's not get down on Matty or me or anybody else because they're being a little cautious. I mean, it's better to think worst case scenario so you're prepared for it. And if the best case scenario happens, then you're just making more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to add on top of that as well. Sorry if I jumped in from somebody. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me this as well. Matt, when's the price to sell? And to be honest, I hope I never have to sell Rocket Lab. I mean, I hope I get to a point where my Rocket Lab position is large enough, multiple times over from where I am today, and they're paying a 1.5–2% dividend. I mean, I'm not talking about tomorrow, but I'm talking about 10, 15 years down the road when they have a decent net income and they've invested in everything that they can, and they're printing so much money that they're buying back stock. My shares are worth, in the couple $100s a share, and I'm getting a decent dividend. The hope is, and this is something I ask people all the time. I'm like, if you find the right companies, you won't ever have to sell because you'll be getting some sort of dividend. When was the right time to sell Microsoft? When's the right time to sell Oracle? When's the right time to sell Nvidia? These are companies that continue to innovate and continue to do well and pivot as they see the market pivots, and they continue to add total addressable market to their business and their segments that they're operating in. So to me, I would stop thinking like a broke person if you really want to stop being broke, and have that sort of mentality shift of, I need to find companies that I'm going to hold forever. And granted, I'm not saying don't sell. Like, for example, if Rocket Lab went to $100 billion market cap today, I'd have to sell it. I'm just going to be honest, because I can't see beyond Rocket Lab being a $100 billion market cap with what I know today. I can speculate about how Constellation is going to be great, how that's going to open up to $150–200 billion market cap. But with what I know today, with Neutron and everything the like, I can't say that it's going to be a $150 billion plus company. So if it got to a $100 billion company today, I'd have to sell, So I just try to iterate to people, but in 5 years, 10 years time, if it gets to 100 billion, you have to include everything else that you know about the company going forward. They could come up with a constellation. They could come up with some sort of mode of transportation where they take over FedEx or they take over, Amazon, less than 24-hour delivery. There's so many different things that they could potentially end up involved in that $100 billion market cap max in 5 years' time would be super cheap, right? So it really just depends upon, you know, where you are in that place in time. I don't like to speculate on price because, to be honest, I don't really care. To me, I'm waiting for the company to get to the $50 billion market cap that I think is reasonable for what this company should be able to get to within the next 10 years or so. But, you know, when Constellation comes out, I can immediately jump that to 100, 150 billion, right? I don't know what the Constellation is going to provide.
Preach
so all
that.
I can do
Preach that
is just
all day. Preach that.
think about where I'm going to be in a terminal stock price or market cap, because as we know, we can get diluted. But I like to think in terms of total market cap for the companies I invest in. And if it hits that mark way ahead of time with what I know, I'm going to have to sell it. Palantir, prime example. In 2020, if Palantir was at $300 billion market cap, I would have sold it. But with what I know about Palantir today, it's going to be $1 trillion market cap company, if not more. So why would I sell it when it's a $350 billion market cap? You know, could it go down in price? Of course it could. There's always going to be cycles. There's always going to be pendulums that swing back and forth. But to me, it's about holding companies that I hopefully never have to sell. And I think Palantir is one of those companies. I think RKLB is one of those companies. And I hope there's a lot of other companies in my portfolio that end up being that way as well. But when am I going to sell Google? I don't see a reason to sell Google. I don't see a reason to sell Amazon. So that's the way I like to look at my portfolio, and it's done really well for me. Hopefully that inspires some people, but I still know that there's a lot of day traders in the chat as well, and I hope you well. Regardless of whether or not you stay in the stock.
Very well
That's
said,
brilliant,
everyone.
bro.
Very
that's
well
brilliant.
said, everyone.
That's great.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
think
church
good...
of Vince and Matt, bro. It's the church of Vince and Matt. Whether you're a sinner or a beginner, this is where you need to be. That is brilliant insight. It really is. And it might seem bearish, and I get that. I'm a big RKLB bull, but we need people like that that's going to say, hey, here's some reality. I've been doing this a little bit longer, especially if you're a new investor. The last thing you want to do is get on X and just get involved in all the FOMO, and you're buying at all-time highs. Look, I've watched my own dad do it, you know, with Tesla. Buy it at all-time highs and hold the bag for a year. He still believes in the company. He still does. But that's a tough pill to swallow when you can use that money to be buying and selling other stocks and building a portfolio. A lesson I had to learn the hard way. As a matter of fact, me and Liam just started a new project, and about a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I bought one single share of RKLB around $26. I'm up 41% on one share. Now, I'd be kind of dumb not to sell that, right? Be kind of dumb. Small project. It's not for the big guys out there, but it's just an example. It's easy to get over bullish. It's easy to get over bearish, but it does help having people like a Matty, like a Vince, like a Liam. I can name Scotto. I can name these guys for all. You know, you're getting this information from different people, but do your own research. Take the information, absorb it, and then go and challenge that yourself, and then make your own investment decisions. We can't tell you, you know, it's going to go this far and this is when you should buy and sell. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to give you some insight on a company that we obviously care about and love a lot. And we understand the passion, so we appreciate the comments. I can't read the comments, but I just want to thank everyone that has joined in today. This has been a lot of fun, man. Hopefully, Vince, we haven't kept you too long, but if we have, thanks in ahead. This has been a lot of fun. Guys.
Thank you so much for coming on. I think this is a great point to end. I wish everyone a great week, and see you, everyone. I mean, Matt Dinero or Matteo Dinero, we will not see again probably. It will be back to the old Matt money. But yeah, hopefully see everyone again. Thank you so much for being here.
Big respect, guys. Thank you so much.
Buenas tardes.